So yesterday you went and took some photos and you were trying to focus on your subject from an extremely close-up shot, a close-up shot, medium shot, a long shot, and an extremely long shot. So you should have a bunch of photos in your folders now that might have a collection of different things of your subject matter. And you're going to try and kind of piece together a story and communicate a bit of a narrative of something happening. So you can do this where you're actually like kind of almost writing a children's story type thing, or something like that. Um, it's your creativity is it's all totally up to you, um, or you can just sort of use the pictures to convey a message, depending on what you have and what you ended up with. You can kind of decide what to do, but you're going to need a couple different types of shots. So when you're looking through your photos, like here, these ones are extremely far. You can't even barely see my subject matters. Okay, this one's more of a portrait because it's got the characters and there's a little bit of a background, but it's not like extremely close up. Whereas, like, I'd say it's close to extremely close up, okay? Because this here I'd say is like a close up shot, okay? Because it's or a portrait shot, right? These it's as close as I can get because my subject was pretty dang small. So I also have medium shots where the character is interacting with the scene around them. And then I have some further away shots where maybe there's like this one. It's a little further away where the creatures are kind of interacting with each other, but there's also a little bit of the nature. All right. So instead of just showing you how to do this in Photopea, which you already should know how to do, a lot of our just normal edits in Photopea. Remember, you're going to try and get one extremely close-up shot, one close-up shot, one medium shot, one long shot, and one extremely long shot. Okay, so that's what we're going to be narrowing our pictures down into, and we're going to try and kind of create a narrative. It doesn't matter if you put them all in that order. You're just so if your narrative works better if you do an extremely close-up shot in a different little thing, do however, be creative, come up with some fun things. Okay, so for me, I'm kind of like having these little characters playing, hide and seek or something like that, in this tree and some of these other things, and just kind of chasing each other and all that cuteness, whatever. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is, if I have photoshopped, I'm going to go ahead and take my file, my folder, and if there's any of those photos that you don't want to edit, you can get rid of them before you download them. But what I'm going to do is go back to my folder here, and I'm going to go ahead and download that folder. All right, so my folder is actually already downloaded. And then I'm going to go to down here to the typing the toolbar, and I'm going to look up Adobe Bridge. I've opened that up, and I'll go ahead, and that's where we're going to be. And is actually this really cool program that's available only if you download Photoshop and Bridge. It is a great way to organize your photos, and it's also a great way to edit your photos really quickly. There's so many really nice, cool things about Bridge. Okay, so I have my files open up on Ridge here. So here you can see the thumbnails, okay, and I can change how big I look at those thumbnails. Like I can look up at them pretty closely, okay. I also can um, make them a little smaller and make this one that I have selected a little bit bigger. This makes it so much easier for me to compare these three images, because what I can do is I can use this little plus button and look to see, okay, so this is in focus. Is it the same here and the same here? Okay. Which one's the best one? And I can close out of that so that I can see. Okay, so some things I'm looking for here is I don't want it to be totally whited out here. I want to have good rule of thirds. I want to have good value. And so personally, I think this is going to be my best of these three. So what I'm going to do, since I think this one's going to be the best one of those three, and say, okay, so this is the one that I could possibly edit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to star it. Okay, and once I star it, I'm going to star it like at a 4 or a 5 as something that I could use. Then I will be able to eventually filter those out. So I go through here. Okay, so again, I'm going to compare these things. Okay, so like that one's a good like that one's a medium shot. I could probably use that, so I'll put that at a 4. Okay. I don't like this one. I think I like this one. These two I like them for different reasons. Since this one has the focus completely on that front thing, and these they get kind of lost. I feel like it tells a different story. I think I like this one more for the story quality because it almost looks like the creatures are looking at, or Totoro here is looking at these leaves. Okay, so then I can compare these ones again and see that I think I like this one because of the angle of Totoro's face. I think that one's a good one for, it's an okay one. I think I like this one better. And if this one, obviously this one's more in focus. This one is super far away. Like this is one of those extreme distances. And I was trying to tell the story of them looking for each other. So I think I might use that one. And I think that one's another one that I'll probably use since it shows them kind of far as a far shot. That one I won't use. Okay. That one's pretty cute. I don't think those ones were as successful. This one is, you can still see little Totoro back there. So as I'm going through this, I can say which ones I like. All right, so now that I've selected all of the ones that I think that might look good, okay, I'm going to go ahead and filter them. So now I'm going to filter them by showing only 4 or more stars. So these are the pictures that I've said that I could possibly edit, and I can tell, like I've got that one's a good full body image, another full body image. That one's a far shot. This one's more of a close-up shot. You know, I've got some super extreme far away, some good, like, I'd say that's as much of a portrait as I can get, right? This one has more of that medium shot if I'm thinking about that one. That's a far shot, medium shot, far shot, portrait, or close up, and then extremely far shot. All right, so I have plenty to work with in terms of trying to make sure that I have those 5, okay? And you can end up editing more than just one photo, or more than 5 photos. Your goal here is to do some quick edits to make your photos look better, all right? And how you're going to do that, the easiest way from Bridge is to use Camera Raw. So we'll go ahead and open this image in Camera Raw. And what will pop up is this little picture, okay? And I like to make it more like full screen. So Camera Raw is extremely nice and extremely useful because it's basically one step before Photoshop, where you can edit everything that you would normally do to a photo to create good depth, create some better balance and levels and all that jazz. Okay, so you have like your crop tool. If your image is not straight, you can straighten it out. You can remove spots, like if I want to get rid of any fuzziness, but of course, you know, thing is felt, so of course it's fuzzy. I can get rid of red eye. This one's a great tool. This is the adjustment tool. You can do filters. You can just do a filter where you do like a radial filter, like a vignette, but I wouldn't want to do a vignette right now. Okay, so lots of different options for you up here, but what I want you to first look at is over here. This is like a great tool thing. Okay, so first you can play around with your exposure. Okay, so you can make it super dark, right, or super light, and that kind of changes some of your storytelling qualities as well. I personally think that I want to just make my exposure just a little bit lower, and no, I think a little higher, and then make my contrast come up a little bit. I also think I want to bring my highlights up, make my shadows a little darker, bring my whites up, bring my blacks down. Now I have something that's a lot darker, okay? And you can see what's happening up here with the levels. Another super easy way to to do this is to literally, you can play around with up here. See how this is changing how things look, just grabbing it and pulling it, and you're just literally changing how the levels are of all of your different colors. Okay. So another thing that's really nice is adding more texture and clarity, especially since my creatures here are felt. It's nice to really up that clarity and texture to create a sharper image. You also could play with your saturation and make it feel a little warmer and fairy tale-y. So one part I noticed that might be something that I want to change is my value back here is getting a little bit bright. So what I can do is I can actually take my adjustment tool. So I go ahead and take my adjustment brush and I select the spot that I want to adjust. And I change the exposure in just that area. Now notice if I do it too much, it just looks like a big black blur, right? But if I just do a little tiny bit, it can create, you know, a little bit of a spot there. Another thing I could do is I could choose to make my character a little darker and more contrasty than the background and really make that pop, okay? Once you have your image, okay, if you're not going to need to edit it at all differently in Photoshop, then you're going to want to save your image, okay? So when you press Save Image, what's going to happen is you're going to have something pop up and you'll be able to name. So I'm going to call this a close-up. I feel like this is a close-up. Okay. I'm going to kind of name it. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to, let's see, where is it? I'm going to create a new folder inside of my folder. And I'm going to save it. Then I will press done. If I press open image, it will actually open it up in Photoshop. All right, so that's how you will edit your photos, and you can see those changes that I've done because it's already saved here. So I'll probably end up editing a couple other ones, changing things around and seeing how I like it before I select my 5 that I want to use to tell my story. Once I'm done with editing, I'll go ahead and go back to my site. And I'll be posting my pictures onto my site. So I'll create a new page. Okay. And this is where I will tell my story. All right. So that's kind of the steps that we're going to start doing for photography today. And if you are, if you're doing this through Photopea, there isn't a great way to do all of that in Photopea. Still going to be doing the same adjustments and doing the levels. It's obviously not as nice and cool as Photoshop, but you'll still be able to get your good contrast. You can still do the adjustments one at a time and get a similar effect. One downside is that Photopea does not have an adjustment brush. But you can still get a pretty similar image. Remember to save it by exporting it as a PNG or JPEG.